He's Hacker.
Talk about a fried egg. I lasted about 5 minutes out there. I said, to heck with this. I'll do this in the morning. And I don't have any inside information. The lady that did it, she got in there. She made it happen.
And he doesn't shy away from opinion.
And I do enjoy drinking cold beer at ballparks. So if that makes me a baseball fan, then I'm a diehard baseball fan.
It's Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
And a very good Thursday evening to you, Jacksonville. It is Hacker After Dark, 1010XL, 92.5 FM. In for Rick Ballou tonight. Glad you are spending part of your Thursday evening with us, with Dylan Denmark, the Hacker Ryan Green with you, 1 week away from the National Football League draft. Next Thursday, Green Bay, Wisconsin, the Jaguars, the 5th overall pick in round number 1. Of course, that's just one of 10 scheduled draft picks the Jaguars will have on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. That's 10 as of now. Who knows if they could add any via trade, that sort of thing, but they are scheduled to make 10 draft picks next week. A lot of thoughts on what they may do at number 5, a lot of thoughts on what they may do in the second and third round, and we will certainly spend some time tonight on the Jacksonville Jaguars, again, 1 week away from the NFL draft. Emory Hunt, the owner and founder of Football Game Plan. The Football Game Plan draft guide, I tell you this every year, is absolutely incredible. I mean, hundreds and hundreds of pages of prospect information. We always love talking with Emory Hunt about that. You also see him on CBS Sports HQ. So Emory will stop by coming up here in less than 15 minutes or so. We'll do a deep dive into the Jaguars, and we'll look at those top 5 picks in next week's NFL draft. We will spend some time on the Orlando Magic and the NBA playoffs tonight. My buddy David Steele, the longtime television play-by-play voice of the Orlando Magic for the FanDuel Sports Network. David Steele joins us at the top of the 7 o'clock hour to preview Orlando and Boston and look around the rest of the NBA playoffs as well. So we're with you till 8 o'clock. We're glad you're spending part of your Thursday evening with us. Had a nice morning this morning. Little donuts with dad action earlier today at Little Hack School. Always enjoyed that. Denmark, they had cornhole set up in the cafeteria, which is normally fun, and if you play it correctly, but with, 36 kindergartners in 2 different classes of 18, cornhole basically turned into let's throw these bags at each other and see if we can hit each other.
Who would have seen that coming?
Yeah, which was really an interesting thought, look, process of how cornhole could deteriorate into something else. But nevertheless, all the kindergartners had a great time. I was certainly happy to be a part of that. Every night here on Hacker After Dark, we do kick it off with a big deal of the night and Dylan Denmark. Let's do that right now.
Time now for the big deal of the night.
What's the big deal?
What is the big deal?
No big deal. It is a big deal.
On Hacker After Dark.
1 week till the Jacksonville Jaguars. Liam Cohen, James Gladstone, they put their stamp on this franchise, making their first draft pick as members of the Jacksonville Jaguar organization. And I was talking to some people earlier today, and it's not just earlier today. This has been a prevailing thought for the last couple of weeks. I still think it's going to be Mason Graham. If you had to, pin me down, tell me to put all the matchsticks in the middle of the table, I have to go with somebody that I feel the Jaguars are going to take at number 5. I'm going to go Mason Graham. And I had somebody tell me today, yeah, that makes sense, but that's kind of a boring pick. And that got me thinking. And that got me bringing it to the radio station tonight. Makes my job easy when somebody has a thought like that, because it stokes the brain, and we start thinking in the memory banks about drafts gone by. Maybe Mason Graham would be a quote-unquote boring pick. Maybe Mason Graham would be an unsexy pick. I don't think you're going to sell a lot of season tickets by drafting Mason Graham. You know what was a really nice pick at the time, a pick that fans loved and probably sold a lot of tickets and that people got really behind. I mean, think about it. When you drafted R.J. Soward in 2000 or Reggie Williams in 04, Matt Jones in 05, or Justin Blackmon in 2012 or Blake Bortles in 2014, Blaine Gabbert in 2011, right? Quarterbacks and wide receivers. Maybe C.J. Henderson as a defensive back. These glamorous positions. Former Gators mixed in there. People were fired up for those picks, right? Little oomph. Call the season ticket department. Sign up for those tickets to get quarterbacks and wideouts and DBs. I don't think anybody was really excited when they drafted Ronaldo Wynn in 1997, right? Seth Payne was also in that draft class, 2 defensive tackles. Those were unsexy picks, I guess. Did you really get fired up when the Jaguars drafted Marcus Stroud and Mo Williams? Did you really yearn for the day that they would draft John Henderson on the interior defensive line? My point in all of this is this. Sometimes the boring pick, sometimes the non-glamorous selection is the right selection. For all of you that got unbelievably fired up when the Jaguars drafted Derek Harvey, Blaine Gabbert, Justin Blackmon, Blake Bortles, Reggie Williams, Matt Jones, Reggie Nelson. You can rattle them off, right? Byron Leftwich. Those were popular picks. Those were non-boring picks. Those picks might have actually sold tickets and gotten the fan base excited in the month of April. How'd that work out in the long term? Exactly. But again, when you draft Ronaldo Wynn, and you draft Marcus Stroud, and you draft John Henderson, right? You draft Anton Harrison, you draft Eugene Monroe, you draft Mo Williams. I don't think those picks exactly get you over the moon, but they won you some football games. Mercedes Lewis was another one. Probably not too excited about Mercedes Lewis. He turned out to be pretty good, right? I used to be all about the flavor of the month, man. I used to be about draft me, the exciting prospect, the guy that puts butts in seats. Draft me somebody that's going to energize this fan base. And maybe I've gotten older, maybe a little wiser. To heck with that, man. To heck with that. I don't care about being excited in April. I care about talking about a winning football team in September, October, and November. Are people going to be excited about Mason Graham if he's the pick next week? Probably not. Not like they would be an Ashton Genty. Not like they maybe would be a Jalen Walker. Not like maybe they would be a Tyler Warren or a Tet McMillan or a Marcus Golden. But if Mason Graham helps you win games in the fall, who cares if you're excited in April? That's where I'm at. I've been disappointed by this organization time and time and time again for numerous Septembers, Octobers, and Novembers. If it takes a lack of excitement in April to produce a winning football team in September, sign me up, brother. That's where I'm at. I think it's going to be Mason Graham. That's what I would do if I were the Jaguars. That's what I hope they do. And that's where I ultimately think it will wind up. Not glamorous, not quote-unquote sexy, but if it's the right pick, that to me, and that should be to you, all that matters. Having said that, the Ashton Genty stuff won't go away. You know, there were that 48, 72-hour window of the Jalen Walker talk. There was a few days of Tet McMillan. There was a few days of hoping Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter would fall to you. A few days of Will Johnson, mostly Mason Graham. And as we talked about last night, now we're in the days of the Ashton Genty conversation. But it's a conversation that seems to be picking up as we get closer to the draft. It's not going away about number 5. There are a lot of people that think Ashton Jeanty is going to be a superstar. A superstar. But as I told you last night, was Saquon Barkley a superstar with the New York Giants? He was a good player. Good player. But he didn't become all-world until he went to Philadelphia. Me personally, I just think the Jaguars have too many holes, too many other needs to focus a running back at number 5. If they take Ashton Jeanty, I bet you guys, most of you, will be excited. I bet you guys will buy his jersey. I bet you guys might call the ticket office, right? But that goes back to what I just said. That would be the glamorous pick. Would it be the right pick? Mason Graham may not be the glamorous pick. I think Mason Graham would be the right pick. And the good thing about all of this is we'll know 1 week from tonight. 1 week from tonight. All the blood, the sweat, and the tears that you have put into listening to Hacker After Dark. Mock draft after mock draft after mock draft. Draft analyst after draft analyst. Weeks and months on end. You've dedicated your listening soul to all our draft coverage, not only on Hacker Dark, but throughout the entire station's lineup. And finally now, we are 1 week away from the draft. Should be fun. Should be fun. Speaking of draft analysts, let's talk to one of my favorites, Emory Hunt. He is the owner and the founder of Football Game Plan. I think it's one of the most comprehensive draft guides that is put out every year. You also see him at CBS Sports HQ. Emory's got a lot of thoughts about Mason Graham, about Ashton Jeanty, about positions of strength in this draft, and about what he would do if he was James Gladstone. I think you'll enjoy the conversation. Emory Hunt, Football Game Plan, and CBS Sports HQ joins us next on a Thursday night here in Jacksonville, Florida. Hacker After Dark, in for Blue, right here on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM.
Day by day.
A tremendous return. It's first and goal, Jacksonville.
And play-by-play.
And the Jags are going to win it in Wembley Stadium.
1010XL.
Are you ready to step up to luxury?
Check out the power of our exciting 2025 lineup, including the Lyric, IQ, Optique, and the stunning Vistique.
With over 15 electric Cadillacs in stock and more on the way, it's the perfect time to trade in your Tesla and embrace luxury with a twist.
At Randy Marion, there are no tariffs. So visit Randy Marion Cadillac on Southside Boulevard, Jacksonville, and see why our electric lineup turns heads.
Don't miss out. Drive Cadillac, electric or gas. We have both. Plus tax tag title $9.99 admin fee and resist all on approved credit.
My son had a meniscus surgery a couple of years ago. Went smooth as silk. Dr. Kevin Murphy did it. Was playing tennis in 2 weeks. This is Patrick Malarkey, and I highly recommend
Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
David Garrard here. I've had the PRP treatment from Southeast Orthopedic Specialists, and my knees are really doing well. Platelet-rich plasma treatment may be the answer for whatever is hurting you.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Have you got concrete or asphalt rubble piling up? Arcosa Crushed Concrete will pay you for it and recycle it. They're just minutes from Everbank Stadium on Talleyrand. Call Arcosa Crushed Concrete and get paid for what you don't need. ArcosaCrushedConcrete.com.
We're certainly facing interesting economic times. For me, it's comforting to know my money's in good hands with ITP Partners. Jacksonville guys taking care of my Jacksonville money. Experience? Yeah, that's Chris Bryan, Jeff Hartman, Reagan Wright, Dan Abel, Scott Regner, Janice Cobb, and Reed Wingate. They have the expertise and knowledge to take care of your money. For more info, go to ITPPartners.com. ITP Partners, they're my financial partners for life.
Non-compensated client testimonial may not be representative of all client experiences. No guarantee of future performance or success.
Before the picks come in, 1010XL will be all over the draft with every angle and option. 1010XL's draft coverage is brought to you by First Coast Recyclers and Renewal by Anderson Windows and Doors. Roll through the offseason with AA Automotive.
It's heating up at Ride Now Jacksonville. Get water adventure ready with the 2024 Yamaha AR195 boat. With its supercharged engine, Innovative design and water sports features, the Yamaha AR-195 is ready for anything you throw at it. Originally $46,000, now just $36,000. Oversized in-floor storage for wakeboards and extra gear, deck and hull design that maximizes space, comfort, and versatility like no other 19-foot boat. Ride now Jacksonville on Blanding Boulevard. We'll meet or beat any price on all 2024 and prior models.
All right, fellas, I got to brag a little. I'm down 40 pounds thanks to Awaken 180 weight loss and keeping it off.
That's cute, Matt. I'm down 110 pounds. That's like losing a Backstreet Boy.
Okay, so I'm the rookie here. I just started, but I'm already down 13 pounds, and let me tell you, it feels good to see the results already.
That's the thing, man. Awaken 180 works. No shots, no meds, no gimmicks, just real food, real support, and real results.
The support team is a game changer because we all know it's so easy to get distracted. But with Awaken 180, you get your own coach and a plan that works with your lifestyle.
And free support for life.
Plus, no gym workouts required, which is great because let's be honest, I wasn't running wind sprints either.
25, 40, even 110 pounds. If we all can do it, so can you. Call 844-346-1800 or visit awaken180weightloss.com.
That's 844-346-1800 or awaken180weightloss.com.
Plumbing problem? AC not blowing cool? Septic tank backing up? No need to call 3 different companies. Just call Duck Duck Rooter. At Duck Duck Rooter, we do it all. Plumbing, septic, and air conditioning with expert technicians in each department. One company, one call, one easy bill. No hassle, no runaround, just fast professional service from highly skilled techs who know their stuff. Need help? Call 904-862-6769 today and let Duck Duck Rooter handle it all. DuckDuckRooter.com.
Direct from Broadway, MJ, the Tony Award-winning musical, is starting something all across America. Get tickets now to what the Washington Post calls a runaway hit. MJ the Musical, playing Jacksonville Center for the Performing Arts April 22nd through 27th. Tickets at fscjartistseries.org.
St. Johns County parents, does your kid have energy to burn? Want them to play a sport for their middle school? Sign up today for the St. John's Middle School Athletic Association. Tackle football, dance, and cheerleading. Who doesn't want their kid to be the next NFL quarterback or dance floor diva? You know how fast your kid can go from playing Xbox to practicing their touchdown dance or sideline cheer? Visit sjmsaa.org. sjmsaa.org.
At Performance Painting, we've spent decades protecting commercial properties with durable, long-lasting coatings. And we can bring the same expertise when painting the exterior of your home. With industry-leading materials and a proven process, we extend the life of your home, reducing maintenance costs and preserving its value. Now, for a limited time, save $500 when you hire us to paint your home's exterior. Just mention 1010XL. Go to performance-painting.com to schedule a friendly estimate. Performance Painting. Repair, protect, preserve.
Performance Painting.
Cool boats, hot prices at the Jacksonville Spring Boat Show, April 25th, 26th, and 27th at Metropolitan Park. Fishing seminars, kids events, and more. Presented by Jacksonville Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram Westside. Tickets and info at boatjacks.com. That's boatjacks.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville, your home for the Jacksonville Jaguars, and we are glad you are with us. From the NFL Draft, Thursday, April the 24th, up in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Of course, the Jaguars, 10 draft picks overall as it stands right now. 6 of those are in the top 126 selections. And, of course, they have that number 5 overall pick. Let's talk about the Jaguars draft, and let's look back on the offseason that has been with Emory Hunt. You see him on CBS Sports HQ. He's also the founder of Football Game Plan, and Emory's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Emory, it's been a little while, man. How are you?
I'm doing fine, man. Finally able to pick my head above water, being done, and now I'm ready to talk prospects involved.
Yeah, look, man, that draft guide you guys put out there at Football Game Plan is one of the best every year. Talk about the draft guide and what goes into it, because it is a comprehensive deal that you put together.
Listen, it's labor of love, but it's so necessary in my opinion, because we know the draft is transient in terms of how the 7 rounds go, and then the undrafted rookie free agents, and then during the season when guys pop on and off the roster. So the draft guide I get great use from it throughout the entire season. And if you're a fan, it helps you become a little bit more aware of the teams in your division and the teams around the NFL. So you can kind of be a little bit more precise. And hey, our team, yeah, we may think it's good in this particular segment, position, but just opposed to everybody else, wow, we got some ways to go. So when I go through this draft guide, I travel to all the 8 all-star games. I grade every prospect, 3 games each, and then I just give my thoughts and put it in a guide and send it out to the masses, man. And it's been great. I've done it since 2020. And I will say this, if you have purchased a draft guide from me since 2020, right now you would have over 5,400 individual scouting reports at your fingertips. No one, and I mean no one, does it deeper or better than we do it over here at Football Game Plan. You can pick that up at footballgameplan.com/2025 draft guide.
I will certainly tell people again here in Jacksonville how to get their hands on it later on. Emory, look, you and I haven't spoke since the offseason began. It has been a wild offseason here in Jacksonville. Just first and foremost, Liam Cohen, James Gladstone, Tony Baselli, your thoughts on the new leadership here with the Jaguars?
It's fascinating because, the more things change, the more people feel like they stay the same. But I would always tell people, hey, it may not seem like the sexiest hires or whatnot, but at least I'll let those people, give them grace to go and do their thing. And it's time will tell. And that's what we could all say, because I always bring up how folks were about Nick Sirianni, and then we saw how that ended up working out for Philadelphia, just opposed to what we all thought about Doug Peterson, and we saw how that situation worked itself out for Jacksonville. So I would say just take a wait-and-see approach. You never know until it happens, and we'll see how these guys do. We wish them the best of luck.
And you've covered the league for a while. Like you said, you've put that draft guide out, that comprehensive draft guide out now for a couple of years at least, going back to 2020, as you mentioned. A 34-year-old general manager, a guy that gets his fresh start in James Gladstone. We know that he was Les Snead's right-hand man in L.A. It's a youth movement here in Jacksonville. Emory, there's no question about that. What is your thought on a mid-30s general manager?
Fresh eyes is always good on the situation, and you hope that he has the background and the ability to really handle the big chair, because a lot of times we tend to think from afar, oh, we could do this, or I would have done this. But once you get your hands on the controls, it's a different story, and so you root for him because, again, that could open the door for more young guys getting an opportunity, because, again, we kind of thought that those positions were always reserved for elderly guys, that grizzled vets that been around the league for decades and getting that chance, and now you have a young guy with fresh eyes, fresh ideas. I'm excited for him. I hope he does well.
You see Emory Hunt on CBS Sports HQ. He's also the owner of Football Game Plan. We'll tell you about the draft guide again coming up here in just a moment. And that does bring us to the draft, Emory. The Jaguars have the 5th overall pick, and we'll certainly get there. But they're going to be obviously focused on what goes on in the top 4. First and foremost, is it a formality that Cam Ward at this point goes number 1 to the Tennessee Titans?
Apparently, again, I don't deal in, what we're hearing, what we're seeing, just let me know when the pick goes in, right? And we go from there. So for right now, it seems that way, but we've all seen wild cards and curveballs thrown every year. So let's just say, yes, it looks like that's going to be the case for Tennessee at number 1.
Now, look, we're obviously very interested in what Tennessee does, being the rival of Jacksonville. What is your opinion on Cam Ward? What kind of quarterback will he be at the next level?
A fantastic one, man. And here's the thing. I've been talking about Cam Ward since 2020 at Incarnate Word before anyone knew who he was. And here's someone that plays a lot like Steve McNair. I threw that comp out there in 2021 as well. And so when you think about what he does, it's about the ability to have that confidence, that arm arrogance that people like to see. And when you watch him play, there's not a throw on the field that he can't make. and one on the field that he feels as though he can't make. So you like that confidence. And when you have quarterbacks that have that type of ability, it raises the floor of the football team. So regardless of what's around him, he should be able to elevate that team and compete for the AFC South. Again, this was a team that wasn't that bad last year. We knew what the issue was. And with all the inconsistencies they got at quarterback, they were right there in terms of the division based on how it played out last year. And when you look at Cam Ward and a lot of the things you hear about him negatively, sounds a lot like what we heard about Patrick Mahomes coming out Texas Tech's offense and how he plays and his style, how it wouldn't work in the NFL. And we saw how that worked out. So I think Ward being battle tested, having come from an FCS, gone to 2 Power 5 programs, and proved his worth and elevated the floor at those programs everywhere he's gone, I think the sky's the limit for him.
Conventional thinking is that Abdul Carter and Travis Hunter will also be gone before the Jaguars pick. We're hoping Shedeur Sanders finds his way in the top 4 as well. That would knock somebody down to number 5. And basically every mock draft that you see almost at this point has Mason Graham coming to Jacksonville. Whether that happens or not, what's your opinion on Graham as a player?
Well, he's my number 1 defensive tackle in the class. And when I look back at what I had on him, I have an 81 grade. You go back and look at Devon Hamilton. What I had on him, it was like a 71, 75.5 for Mason Smith. So he would be the highest graded defensive tackle out the starters, in my opinion, for Jacksonville. So it would be an upgrade and a guy that can definitely fit into what they do. Now, the interesting part is if you just assume Cleveland looks at their depth chart and says, wow, we have a gaping hole at quarterback, and takes the quarterback like they should, then that pushes down another position player potentially to Jacksonville. Let's just say for whatever reason Abdul Carter is there. That's where the debate happens. Like, okay, do we add another edge rusher or do we go interior defensive line? And I think that's where we will see the young GM earn his paycheck on that one.
Emory Hunt, the founder and owner of Football Game Plan. You also see him at CBS Sports HQ. The Mason Graham, I don't know, Emory, about player comps, but I ask people about this, and I get Jeffrey Simmons and Christian Wilkins, kind of a combination of the two. Would you agree with that when it comes to Mason Graham?
Wow, that's two. I think those are 2 distinctly different players. I think Mason Graham is more along the lines of, it's hard to get a comp for him, man. I would say, to throw out a throwback there for people down there in Jacksonville, I would say sort of like a Trace Armstrong type. I know Armstrong primarily played defensive. Let's say Brad Culpepper. I know Brad Culpepper was a little bit shorter for Tampa Bay, but he was as disruptive and was a very good player. And because I know people look at Mason Graham and say, well, he didn't test well athletically, but every time you pop on Michigan film, he's outperforming whoever's in front of him. He's making game-changing plays. So that's the type of guy you kind of want on your team, man. And I think he's a fantastic player. Sometimes he may be a little bit aggressive getting upfield, but I'd rather tell somebody tone it down than having to tell them ratchet it up,
No, I agree. And look, the thought here is the defensive tackle is a need, but apparently it's a deep defensive tackle class, Emory. And Jalen Walker's name has been brought up here. Heck, even Tyler Warren and Ashton Genty's name has been brought up here. Would you side on the idea of getting maybe a player not on the interior defensive line at 5 because you can find good interior defensive linemen perhaps in round 2 or even round 3?
I love that question because it's a type of thought that I see, peddled around a lot within the draft space, because everybody's so big on value, right? You go trade down and get assets, trade down. At this point, nobody's going to pick in the first round because everybody wants their team to trade out of the first round. So that way we can stockpile a bunch of second round and third round picks. Like, no, if you are picking in the draft, the goal is to get guys that can help your team specifically. I don't want to game the draft and say, okay, I'll pass on the best defensive tackle because I can get the 6th best defensive tackle later because I can pick up some more lottery tickets in this draft. Man, I am taking the best player that can help my team win today. And that's how I would approach the draft. And that's how people should approach the draft because at the end of the day, when it's week 6 and, Mason Graham is out there balling. Do you care that he was taken 5th overall? Or would you be sitting there saying, like, man, yeah, he's balling, but if we would have just traded down and got this other guy in round 3, we could have been just like, no, man, nobody cares. Like, just take the best players when you can and go out there and have fun.
Final moments with Emory Hunt. If for some reason Mason Graham is gone, there's been Will Campbell talk here, and I go back to Jalen Walker. There has been Jalen Walker talk, at least amidst the fan base. He's an intriguing prospect, Emory. What's your thought on both Campbell and Walker?
Campbell, to me, is outstanding, man. And I love that he is battle tested. He's my number 1 tackle. And think about how he started his career, against Jared Verse at Florida State, man. Talk about getting thrown into the fire, and has gotten better each and every season. And I love how he came out and addressed his arm length question. Like, man, no one cared about my arm length until they knew what my arm length was. So that tells me, like, yo, put the tape on, watch him dominate, and just don't worry about anything else, because those guys he's been going against, because he's played in the SEC, are going to be guys who's going to be in the NFL anyway. So he's shown you he can do it and handle his quote unquote deficiency. So I have no problem on, Will Campbell being able to transition well. And what was the other player? I'm sorry?
Jalen Walker from Georgia.
Walker, to me, is fascinating because I feel like he could play all 3 backer positions. And you know what? Now we're talking about it, it kind of runs parallel to what Jacksonville has done. You think about the guys that they brought in before: Devin Lloyd, Foye Oluokun, Muma. I was a big fan of out of Wyoming. And in my reports, I've said, man, these guys could play all 3 backer spots. So that would make a lot of sense for Jacksonville, because it fits a type in a guy that has upside, a guy that plays with those heavy hands. He sets the edge really well if you want to use him as an edge guy, but he's good off the ball as well. So listen, and there's no surprise that he's starting to get that buzz around the community as we get close to the draft, but this is a really good linebacker that I'm glad everybody's starting to come around to and realize how versatile and how talented he is.
Emory, final question, and then I want to talk about the football game plan draft guide. Talking to a lot of people in the industry, I've been told that, look, there's 10, 15 really good players here. Once you get to about pick 20, maybe pick 25, there might not be that big a difference between pick 25 and pick 65. Would you agree with that?
Nope, because here's the thing, man. I grade so many doggone prospects. I see the good in everything. So and we know this every year, man. When you think about, in the middle of the season, somebody that was drafted in the 6th round is leading for Rookie of the Year. And we're like, wow, how did that guy fall to the 6th round? Well, y'all spent 3 months saying that this draft is only 10 players deep. So how about we just focus on who can play and realize the draft is 7 rounds, and there's only 260-something guys that's going to get picked. And then we know there's going to be like another 150 undrafted guys that's going to end up making the active roster or whatnot. So I would say when people, talk about the value of the draft, that's why it tends to run parallel every year, man. When you hear like, oh, there's going to be 42 first-round locks. And then it goes from that to 30 players going to be taken in the top 10 till it goes to, man, nobody's worth the top overall pick. Everybody should trade out of the first round. To now, well, the draft really is only 12 good players deep. NFL teams have only got 9 first-round grades. Like, man, the draft is full of good players. And if you're drafting right and trust your evaluations of the scouts that are out there all year round, already working on the next class, gathering all this information, trust that you could find 7 very good football players for your football team.
Emory, tell the good folks here in Jacksonville about the football game plan draft guide and where they can find it.
Football game plan draft guide / 2025 draft guide. It is the largest and deepest draft guide in existence. It has been since 2020. You won't find more individual scouting reports. So this year is the largest draft guide we ever put out. We always break our record, right? So this year it is 1,210 individual prospects in this guide. Also, for a little bonus this year, over 50 CFL draft prospects, because we know there are some guys that have played in these Canadian colleges that will end up in training camps in the NFL. Some guys may end up making the roster and playing really well. that had played at Canadian colleges. So we threw those prospects in there as well. And that's the beauty of this whole draft guide, because we know you will find someone that your team drafted like, well, who the hell is this guy? Best believe we got a scout report on him in the football game plan draft guide for this year.
He's one of our favorites, Emory Hunt, CBS Sports HQ, and, of course, the owner of Football Game Plan. And you can go get your hands on the 2025 Football Game Plan Draft Guide right now. Emory, we certainly appreciate it. Thank you, pal. Let's maybe reconvene after the draft, and we'll see how the Jaguars fared.
Oh, absolutely, Ryan. Appreciate you always just having me on.
There's an energy and drama to play-by-play sports.
This crowd, a big factor.
You never know what's going to happen.
Wow!
Feel the energy on 1010XL, Jacksonville Sports Radio.
When you think of America, you think baseball, cookouts, military, and pride for our country. At Garber Auto Mall, we're proud to carry every American-made truck at one location. Ford, Chevy, GMC, Ram, and Jeep. With the largest inventory selection in North Florida, you can shop with one salesperson. Garber Auto Mall is proud to support our country, our military, and our community. Visit us in Green Cove Springs or at GarberAutomall.com. Garber Auto Mall, proud to be American.
Jacksonville, ready to spice up your happy hour? Take advantage of the happy hour specials going on right now at One Night Taco Stand. Every day from 2 until 6, enjoy 50% off appetizers like queso and guac, empanadas and taquitos, 2-for-1 margaritas, and 2-for-1 daiquiris at One Night Taco Stand, Mandarin, Orange Park, and Southside at Bay Meadows.
Hey, Hicken here. Tired of glasses or contacts? Discover customized vision solutions at Bowden Eye & Associates. Dr. Bowden's team offers cutting-edge options like EVO implantable Collamer lenses or refractive lens exchange and classic LASIK, designed to fit your life. Picture perfect vision for reading, driving, or just enjoying the day. It's easier than you think. Call now for your free screening. Bowden Eye & Associates, they're keeping the First Coast focused.
So, you finally have some time to yourself. Even if it is just the car ride home, it's you time. And look at you. Do not disturb set before you even got in the car? Impressive. You've earned this moment to just chill and drive. This break is brought to you by Target Zero and the Florida Department of Transportation.
Experience MJ the Musical at the Jacksonville Center for Performing Arts, April 22nd through 27th. For a chance to win tickets, text MJ Fans to the text line covered by Lifetime Flooring at 641-1010.
DivorceMenOnly.com. This is Kenny Lay of Kenny Lay & Associates. Our firm specializes in representing men in family law. That's all we do. That's our only focus. We can help with all of your family law needs, such as divorce, custody, alimony, and child support. For over a decade, we have helped thousands of men with these types of issues. We even have an appellate division ready to challenge a judge's ruling. If you need a family law attorney, go to DivorceMenOnly.com. DivorceMenOnly.com. Offices, Jacksonville.
The best game day parking in all of Duval is at Tailgaters Parking. Are you ready for some football? Tailgaters is just steps away on the east side of the stadium. Visit tailgatorsparking.com and secure your season parking pass today.
New year, new club. This is Joe C., and I'm proud to be a member of Southampton. And with the popularity of golf, getting a tee time is tough. But with membership comes member privileges. Enjoy clubhouse dining, expanded practice area, focusing on all parts of your game. And right now, you can join with an annual commitment and get a $1,000 discount, plus $500 of Pro Shop credit. All the details are online at golfsouthampton.com or call 287-PLAY and make a tee time today at the Golf Club of Southampton.
Need or want cash? Beach's Jewelry and Pawn has cash available. Ready to buy guitars, surfboards, jewelry, firearms, tools, and especially gold. They need it all, selling or pawning. Get cash on the spot at Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jacksonville Beach.
Your home is more than walls and a roof. It's where you breathe, drink, and power.
power through life. At Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing, we're here to keep it all running smoothly. From clean, cool air to clean water, reliable power to expert plumbing, we do it all. For over 35 years, families have trusted Donovan to make their homes healthier, safer, and more comfortable. Call Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing today. 904-270-COOL, where health meets home.
Joe C. for Preferred Roofing, reminding you your roof is more than just felt and shingles. It's a system that not only keeps your home dry, but also impacts your heating and cooling bills. Preferred Roofing and Construction is a GAF Master Elite Roofing Contractor lauded for having the ability to educate and inform homeowners on their options. Why GAF and Preferred Roofing? They're veteran-owned and operated with ties to Duval for decades. A family business ready to make sure your family has a good roof over its head. Log on, preferredroofingjax.com.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code WEALTH to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code WEALTH for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code WEALTH for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
Yes, it is. Hacker After Dark in for Blue tonight. Glad you're with us. 1010XL and 92.5 FM. We'll take you up until 8 o'clock, and then Open Gym with RJ Saunders is in for me from 8 o'clock until 10 o'clock this evening. Boy, the end of an era in television when it comes to college football. It was announced earlier today that August the 30th, which is week 1 of the college football season, will be the final college game day for Lee Corso. Now, Father Time catches up with everybody, unfortunately, and Lee Corso, I believe, is going to be 90 years old at the time of that broadcast. What a career, what a renaissance man in the sense of college football television and the way we have viewed college football television dating back to the early 1990s. You know, I'll never forget. I remember it. I mean, I was 10 years old, I believe, in November of 1993 when Florida State was number 1 in the country, Notre Dame was number 2 in the country, and that was the first on-site broadcast for ESPN's College Game Day. And that was what, you're talking 32 years ago, right? And at the time, it was Chris Fowler, Craig James, and Lee Corso. And I was 10 years old, right? I really didn't fully understand that Lee Corso was a coach in this past. He was this wacky guy on TV. And then all of a sudden, he started doing the headgear predictions. You know, I saw this tweeted out earlier today, and this is absolutely wild. Get a load of some of these. So Lee Corso, keep in mind, they only do, 1, maybe 2 at a max college game days a week, even when it's bowl season. Lee Corso has made 430 mascot headgear predictions. 430 mascot headgear predictions on different shows. He has picked 69 different programs during his tenure at ESPN. By the way, in case you were wondering, he's 286 in the good column, 144 in the loss column. In 1999, he went a perfect 11-0 in headgear predictions. I thought that was interesting. 3 teams he has picked have never lost when he's picked them. Denmark, how about this? The University of Southern California 17-0 all time when Lee Corso has donned the Trojan helmet. Virginia Tech 4-0, North Dakota State 3-0. Of teams he has picked the most, he's picked Oregon 21 times. Florida, the Alligators, gone on that head 22 times. He's picked LSU 25 times. Alabama 38. And Ohio State 45. He is an institution at ESPN. And I know that in the last few years, particularly since he had the stroke, I thought when he had the stroke a few years back that he would never be on TV again. But man, what a fighter, what resilience to come back and continue doing television at a pretty high rate. Obviously, he had lost his fastball, but good grief. He's a stroke survivor, and he's in his late 80s, pushing 90. I mean, what do you expect from the guy? He is a treasure when it comes to sports media. And Lee Corso, that's my entire life. I mean, I'm 41 years old. Like I said, the first College Game Day that went on the road was that Florida State-Notre Dame game in November of 93. I was 10. I literally just turned 10. I was 9 that majority of that college football season. I had turned 10 the month before. I don't know Saturdays without Lee Corso on College Game Day. That's going to be bizarre. And unfortunately, as the clock keeps turning, we're losing more and more of these guys. Like Hubie Brown in the NBA called it a career a couple of weeks ago. He was calling games. I believe he's 91 when he called his last game. You know, we just enjoyed Bill Raftery on the call for the Gators national championship. He's 81 years old. How much longer are we going to have Bill Raftery during March Madness? And you hate to see these guys go, but when they do go, you just appreciate them. Like, I always loved Hubie Brown on the NBA. Love Bill Raftery still on college basketball. And, man, I loved Lee Corso. Now, Denmark, you're 15 years younger than me. Do you appreciate Corso the way I do or the way people older than me do?
Oh, 100%. I grew up watching College Game Day every Saturday morning up until I started playing Pop Warner football. But college football, College Game Day, even if I wasn't watching, it's always in the background if I'm doing something. And I know the last couple of years he's, hasn't been as involved with his age. But, I saw the news and I saw those stats you ran off. It's pretty weird going to have him not be on there this coming football season.
I mean, 430 headgear predictions. That is insane. He's picked 69 different college teams during that time. He's picked the Gators 22 times. I think it's wild that Southern Cal is 17-0 when he's picked them to win a football game. 17-0. So Lee Corso, that'll be a tearjerker on that opening Saturday. We're going to be all fired up for the year. We don't know where College Game Day is going to be, but let's cut the bull here. I mean, come on. With his Florida State ties, Alabama and Florida State play on August 30th. I mean, Denmark, you got to be in Tallahassee, right?
Yeah, one would think.
I mean, one would think that just makes too much sense. Too much sense. So Lee Corso retiring, doing one more broadcast on August 30th, and then he'll call it a career. It's a sports show. We're going to get back to the sports in one moment, but speaking of Tallahassee, I've lived in Jacksonville for 31 years. I am a Jacksonville guy. Whenever somebody asks me where my hometown is, I tell them Jacksonville, Florida. I've lived here since I was 11, since I was end of 5th grade, beginning of 6th grade, and raising my son here and got married here. I'm a Jacksonville guy. I was born in Tallahassee, in the Tallahassee Memorial Hospital, which obviously the events today over there at Florida State University, just awful. Prayers go up to the people that were affected, including the two, I believe, that have lost their lives in that senseless shooting there on campus. I got buddies that have family members that were on campus today, and just a horrible, horrible thing, scary thing. Certainly hits home. I mean, how many of us have walked that Florida State campus time after time after time, either going to football games or baseball games or seeing loved ones or friends, graduate from the nearby Leon County Civic Center, and just awful. So thinking of everybody over in Tallahassee this evening as, again, another horrible, senseless shooting took place there earlier today. All right, back into sports. Just wanted to get that out there. From Lee Corso calling it a career to Gator basketball. Quick thought there. Xavier Lee from Princeton on his way to the University of Florida. I'll be honest with you. I knew nothing about Xavier Lee a week ago. I didn't know much about him 3 days ago. But I knew that Kansas wanted him. I knew that Rick Pitino and St. John's wanted him. And maybe most importantly, I knew that Todd Golden wanted him. And Todd Golden has earned enough respect from me that if Todd Golden wants him, I'm assuming he's pretty good. So Xavier Lee, one of the big transfer portal guards, 6'4", averaged 17 points last year in the Ivy League. He is now on his way to the University of Florida to help replace the backcourt, which they're losing, obviously, Walter Clayton, Elijah Martin, and Will Richard. He will team with Denzel Aberdeen in the backcourt. Urban Klavsar will also have a role, you would think. They're probably going to get at least one more guard out of the portal. I know there's a lot of talk about A.J. Brown, the Ohio Bobcats point guard that averaged 13 points a game last year. He was an all-freshman Mid-American Conference player last season. He is the brother of Isaiah Brown, who's currently on the Gator roster. If you add a guy like that with Denzel Aberdeen, now with Xavier Lee, that's certainly a great backcourt. Not as good as Richard, Martin, and Clayton, but a great backcourt. The front court's going to be interesting. Ruben Chinyelu declared for the draft today. That was a little interesting. Now, Ruben Chinyelu said he will maintain Florida eligibility, college eligibility, in case he wants to come back. I cannot imagine a scenario where Ruben Chinyelu doesn't come back. I was actually more concerned he may enter the transfer portal as opposed to entering the draft. He's entered the draft today, but again, he's doing basically what Richard and Clayton did last year. I would firmly expect Chinyelu to be back with Han Lockton, with Thomas Houck. Condon is the interesting one. Condon is going to be the guy that tips it one way or the other when it comes to the Gators scale for 2025, 2026. I don't know if Condon's coming back for certain. I would think that he is, but I've seen some mock drafts that have him creeping into the end of the first round, which I can't believe. But there are some mock drafts out there at the end of the first round. He's in a lot of second-round projections. I think it would behoove Alex Condon to come back. I think he'll make a lot of money if he comes back with NIL. And if he comes back, Florida's going to be a top 10 team. If Condon doesn't come back, that is a significant blow. That means Sam Alexis probably doesn't go anywhere, but I'd much rather have Condon, Hanlocked, and Chinyelu and Houck than Houck, Hanlocked, and Chinyelu and Sam Alexis. No offense to Sam Alexis. So Condon's the interesting one to follow. I don't know if he comes back. I would firmly expect Chinyelu to come back. But at the end of the day, the Gators just won a flipping national championship in 10 days. All right? Still celebrate the national championship. We'll worry about basketball season in a couple of months. That's on the collegiate front. I'm very concerned about the NBA because the NBA playoffs begin on Saturday. And the Orlando Magic are back in the playoffs for the second straight year. They defeated the Atlanta Hawks in the play-in. That gets them a date with Boston. Game 1 of a best-of-7, Sunday, 3:30 at the TD Garden in Boston, Massachusetts. The Magic and the Celtics. David Steele, the longtime voice of the Orlando Magic for FanDuel Sports Network. He joins me next to preview Orlando and Boston. Look around the rest of the NBA as well. David Steele next, right here on Hacker After Dark.
He'll go to work. Shot is up. Banchero drills it.
I'm Paolo Banchero of the Orlando Magic.
Big time Banchero.
On Jacksonville Sports Radio, 1010XL.
Hi, I'm Karen, owner of Clay Solar Installation Partners, your local woman-owned solar company. Did you hear? JEA is raising rates again. With summer right around the corner, those power bills are only going to go up. But with solar, you can take control of energy costs and say goodbye to rising rates. At Clay Solar, we make switching easy and affordable. Stop paying more for power and own it. Visit claysolar.com to schedule a consultation today.
1010XL's draft previews are brought to you by Big Brothers Big Sisters of Northeast Florida. Be a big.
Travis Hunter is an exciting two-way player whose world-class athleticism and ball skills help him shine on both sides of the field. Hunter is an instinctive, natural football player with a feel for making the biggest plays at the biggest time. Jacksonville would need to make a decision on where and how to play Hunter if they drafted him with the 5th pick, but he's capable of making a good number of winning plays as a future star, no matter the choice.
Hey, Jacksonville, I'm sure by now you've seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We are an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We are committed to customer service, reliability, and have unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today. GFL, green for life.
Home of the Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
At Performance Painting, we've spent decades protecting commercial properties with durable, long-lasting coatings. And we can bring the same expertise when painting the exterior of your home. With industry-leading materials and a proven process, we extend the life of your home, reducing maintenance costs and preserving its value. Now, for a limited time, save $500 when you hire us to paint your home's exterior. Just mention 1010XL. Go to performance-painting.com to schedule a friendly estimate. Performance Painting. Repair, protect, preserve.
Performance Painting. Hey, Hicken here, or just call me Dreamfinders Danny. For a limited time to ring in the new year, Dreamfinders Homes is offering an amazing 4.99% fixed interest rate. Now's your chance to lock down that rate and get in the game. You heard me right. It's 4.99 fixed interest rate on select move-in ready homes. Visit dreamfindershomes.com for sales event information and get in the game. Interest rate available on select move-in ready homes. Restrictions and limitations apply. Go to dreamfindershomes.com for more details.
It's time to elevate your game night. Head to Best Bet, your premier destination for poker, card games, and hospitality. With locations in Jacksonville, Orange Park, and St. Augustine, we have a seat ready for you. Whether you're a seasoned poker player or just starting out, we have you covered with poker games of all limits and easy-to-learn games like Ultimate Texas Hold'em. And it's not just poker. With delicious dining, lively bars, and big screen events, there's something for everyone at Best Bet. Visit bestbetjacks.com to learn more. That's bestbetjacks.com and ante up for fun.
Hi, I'm Mac with Baker Glass. If you've got fogged up windows, let me help. We'll replace them with clear, insulated units that brighten up your home. People say we're fast, friendly, and reliable. Just check out our Google reviews. Call me today. Baker Glass. No one treats you better.
Cool boats, hot prices at the Jacksonville Spring Boat Show, April 25th, 26th, and 27th at Metropolitan Park. Fishing seminars, kids events, and more. Presented by Jacksonville Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram Westside. Tickets and info at boatjacks.com. That's boatjacks.com.
Are you ready for some exciting football action? Your Jacksonville Sharks take on the Massachusetts Pirates Saturday, April 19th. Get family 4-packs, 4 tickets, 4 $10 vouchers, and a $20 Al's Pizza gift card, all for only $100. Don't miss the unforgettable Frisbee Dogs and keep an eye out for the Easter Bunny. A fun night for the kids. Get tickets at jacksharks.com or call 904-621-0700. 904-621-0700.
Prosser here. The Jacksonville Sharks are 3-0 and ready to make it 4-0 this weekend as your Jacksonville Sharks take on the Massachusetts Pirates this Saturday. Get our family 4-packs, 4 tickets, 4 $10 vouchers, and a $20 Al's Pizza gift card, all for just $100. Don't miss the unforgettable Frisbee Dogs and keep an eye out for the Easter Bunny. For tickets, go to jacksharks.com or call 904-621-0700. That's 904-621-0700. And go Sharks! Go Sharks!
Cannonball! Honey, someone's in our pool.
Oh, refreshing.
John, what are you doing?
Oh, hey, Dave. Seeing as how me and the guys at Clearwater Irrigation reinstalled your sprinklers after the pool contractor ripped it out, I thought you wouldn't mind if I took a quick dip.
But in a Jaguar print Speedo?
Yeah, Dave. My bad.
Clearwater Irrigation. We can't sing a lick, but we sure are good at sprinklers.
And drainage, too.
Hello, Jacksonville. This is John Johnson with First Coast Recycling. We buy junk cars. If you have a car or a truck that you're looking to get rid of, then look no further. If you absolutely, positively have to get that car out of there, accept no substitutes. Fast cash is at your fingertips. Just call First Coast Recycling at 904-294-1659 today for a quick and easy quote. Come on, let's take your driveway back.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. It is NBA playoff time, and that includes the Orlando Magic. After a roller coaster regular season, to say the least, Orlando defeats Atlanta on Tuesday night in the play-in game that gets them a date with Boston. Game 1 of the best of 7 Sunday up at the TD Garden, the 2 versus 7 matchup in the Eastern Conference. David Steele, the longtime voice of the Orlando Magic for the FanDuel Sports Network, always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. David, how you doing, bud?
I'm doing great. How are you, Ryan?
David, we're good. Thank you for the time. And there's certainly a lot of branches I want to get to with you. But first and foremost, getting in the playoffs, David, amidst all the injuries, and we'll certainly get to those. But what a, I guess, sense of relief for a guy like me, a Magic fan. I imagine a lot of people down there with the organization that they were able to win that play-in game on Tuesday.
Absolutely. It's been a roller coaster of a season. I know that's a cliche, but it's never been truer than what the Magic have been through this year. I think Jamal Mosley said it best. Someone asked him yesterday about what this season was like, and he said it was like coaching 7 different teams. And I think you can actually go back and break it down into that many segments of what kind of team, who the personnel was, what the style of play was because of the personnel. When the season started, Ryan, we had high hopes for home court advantage in the first round, and then in game number 5, our star Paolo Banchero suffers an oblique injury, and then after that there were multiple injuries on top of it, and so to make the playoffs is really an accomplishment. To get 41 wins, 6 fewer than last year when the team was relatively healthy all year, a pretty good achievement for the ball club. And you're right. We're thankful just to be in the playoffs and have a chance to do some damage against a great Celtics team.
David, you've been calling Magic games since the beginning, back in 1989. Have you ever seen a season that was this injury-plagued?
I can't recall one that has been like this. When you consider not just the number of injuries, but the players that were involved in the significant injuries, with Paolo missing 34 games, almost half of the season, and Franz Wagner missing a quarter of the season, 20 games. And then you had Mo Wagner out for the year beginning in December with the torn ACL. Jalen Suggs basically out for the year after an injury in early January. That's the 4 top scorers on the team, 1, 2, 3, and 4, that missed significant amounts of time. 2 of them are still unavailable for the playoffs. So now I don't think there are many teams that could look back in their history and see that many significant injuries to their top 4 scorers. It was a remarkable year.
Play-by-play voice of the Orlando Magic, David Steele, on FanDuel Sports Network. Always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Magic and the Celtics, Game 1 of the NBA Eastern Conference first round, comes up this Sunday at the TD Garden in Boston. David, it took a while for Paolo and Franz, once they got back, to kind of get their legs underneath them, if you will. Obviously, the team struggled quite a bit when they returned, and I was certainly a bit worried when that was transpiring. But in the last, I'd say, 5 or 6 weeks, boy, the Paolo Banchero that we've seen, I don't know if there's 10 better players in the NBA than what we've seen out of Paolo here as of late.
I completely agree with that. He, if you look at it, Ryan, look at his first 5 games before the oblique injury, and then look at the last, say, what'd you say, 5-6 weeks, and that's the same guy. That's Paolo Banchero in his 3rd year in the NBA. That's 30 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists, just a monster, and getting better. So yeah, we go into the playoffs with Paolo and Franz playing really good basketball. They're physically fit, their bodies are right, their minds are right. They're playing better together. Those oblique injuries, they were of the variety that you can't do anything. Zero. There's no physical activity for like 4 to 6 weeks. And so they had a lot of work to do just to get back up to NBA conditioning. And it took some time. And I think that's why you saw the team struggle so much, because those two guys were just not right. And they came back in staggered segments, too. So it was tough for them. But you're right. I think this version of the team is playing as well as they're capable of playing, without Suggs and without Mo Wagner.
And I certainly want to give a tip of the cap to Franz Wagner, because, like you said, he ended up getting hurt as well. But, David, he was the main guy that kept the Magic's head above water in November and December, right when Paolo got hurt the first month or two afterwards. I mean, the season could have gone in the tank pretty quick. Franz was playing at an all-star level until he got injured, and he certainly deserves some recognition for that.
Yeah, I agree with that too, Ryan. There was a silver lining. There always is in situations like this. And the silver lining was that when Paolo went out, what you just said is true. It unlocked Franz Wagner, and we found out that, you know, he could be potentially a number one guy on a playoff team. He was that good for that stretch. Now, when Paolo came back, again, he defers to Paolo's ability and the things that Paolo can do, but what we found out is that Franz is a big-time player, able to carry a team through a large section of the season, maybe even in a postseason. So that's the good part. Now they got to figure out how to play together and maximize both of their potential.
A couple of more for David Steele, the voice of the Orlando Magic. David, it's interesting in such an injury-plagued year. For the last, 4 months, it seems like Wendell Carter and Jonathan Isaac, two guys that just could not get on the floor hardly at all. And in Isaac's case, for the last few years, have been relatively healthy, surprisingly healthy. So it's kind of the ironic part of this, for as injured as Orlando has been, two guys that have been very injury-plagued in the past have played big roles in the latter parts of this year.
Yeah, Wendell, you're right. He's played. He sat one in Atlanta late in the season, but prior to that, he had played 60 or 61 straight games, which for Wendell in his career is unheard of. And J.I., as you know, he missed 2 full seasons with serious knee injuries in 20 and 21. And so he's come back, and he is as healthy as he's been in 3 or 4 years. So he's played 71 games this year. So having those two guys available in the postseason and have them healthy, that's a big factor for the Magic, because they're gonna need their physicality, their rebounding, their athleticism against that Boston team.
David, I certainly want to get to the Boston series, but quickly back to Tuesday night. I think any Orlando Magic fan or objective broadcast journalist, as I like to call myself, or anybody that works for the Magic organization, when we saw the Hawks cut that lead from 22-6 going into the fourth quarter, we've all been there before, right? You kind of knew or what to expect. Like, oh no, we've seen this song and dance many, many times, blowing a third and fourth quarter lead. But the Magic came out and beat Atlanta to death, and Trae Young gets thrown out of the game. Pleasantly surprised, I guess, that Orlando just absolutely pummeled Atlanta in that fourth quarter on Tuesday night.
I was not really surprised. I had a great seat. We didn't broadcast the game because it was an exclusive TNT telecast, but I had my usual seat courtside next to the Magic bench. And just the look on the faces of Banchero, Wagner, Wendell, J.I., really all the guys, Cole Anthony Black. I didn't think they were going to let that game slip away. They never lost their composure. I give Jamal Mosley a lot of credit for that. And we've seen him do it last year and this year. The team has shown great resilience. That's not the first time that we've been in that situation where a lead has slipped away and you have to right the ship and finish strong. But it was an impressive finish, no question about it. They totally dominated that fourth quarter, the last 7 or 8 minutes of it.
I almost wanted Cole Anthony Black to stop shooting. I wanted them to save a little bit of that, David, for the Boston series. I mean, how good were those two guys on Tuesday night?
I wish it worked that way, but it doesn't. You might as well go ahead and let it rip, because the next game is a whole different situation with, different scenarios. But, man, they were good. They were really good. When Cole plays like that, my goodness, it turns everything around. To have that kind of pop off the bench, and Black's defense was just phenomenal against Atlanta, particularly Trae Young. Yeah, they were great. Really good.
Final moments with David Steele. All right, David, Boston coming up on Sunday, the best of 7, game 1 at the TD Garden. Look, it is what it is, right? You're playing the defending champions. I will say this, though. If you're the Boston Celtics, you're clearly the favorite in this series, but you kind of look yourself and say, well, we won 60-some-odd games. We fought, scratched, and clawed to get the 2 seed, and our reward for that is Banchero and Wagner in round 1. I mean, talk about an interesting first-round matchup for a 2-7 series.
Yeah, I've read all of the prognosticators, and I think the consensus is that it's going to be a physical, tough, closely contested series, but that Boston is going to win it in maybe 4 or 5 or 6. And that's probably the most accurate prediction, looking at the two teams and the scenarios. But I do think the Magic can really make it tough for the Celtics. I do. I think winning more than one game is definitely a possibility in this series. It depends on how the guys shoot the ball. I mean, it really comes down to putting the ball in the basket for the Magic. When Orlando makes like 13, I think it's 13 threes, the winning percentage is off the charts. And that's not a lot of threes for most NBA teams in today's game. So they just have to make open shots. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope has to be really good from the perimeter. You got to have another Cole Anthony outburst. Jonathan Isaac needs to make a few corner threes. Banchero and Wagner have to hit their share. If that happens, then Orlando's going to give Boston some serious trouble.
And Orlando gave Cleveland some serious trouble last year. Cleveland ended up winning that series in 7. You wonder what the Magic learned from last year that they can take into this year. David, I want to end with the broadcast. I know you guys will have some of the games on FanDuel Sports. We'll get to that in one moment. I got to ask David Steele, though. I know you've been, with the Magic for a long time, but obviously people still remember your time in Gainesville. What did you make of the Gator basketball run to the national championship?
So great. Just love watching that team play. I was fortunate. My wife and I and daughter and one of the grandsons got up to a game, the Oklahoma game in Gainesville. So we saw that team play in person. And that was probably in February, maybe early or mid-February. And I thought watching that team live and watching the way they interact on the bench and the way Golden and his staff coached that team, I felt like they were definitely going to be in the Final Four and had a great chance to win the national championship. They were really good. I mean, that obviously I'm stating the obvious, but they were a fun team to watch. Clayton Jr. is just such a clutch basketball player. I thought Houck was amazing. Really, all of the guys, just a great season. I'm really happy for the Gators.
David, I know your voice resonates with the Magic organization. We got 2 first-round picks. Maybe do a little nudge, a little elbow to Weltman or Jamal Mosley. Say, fellas, have you checked out this Walter Clayton Jr. kid in Gainesville?
I think they know about him, but I've already made my feelings known. But I might be a little biased, and they might look at me as a biased source. So I'm not sure how much weight I carry, but I do love the clutch gene that Walter Clayton Jr. has.
David, tell us about the broadcast for the series. Now, I know Sunday is ABC, but I know you guys on FanDuel, which we obviously get here in Jacksonville, will have some of the games for this Magic Celtics series.
Yeah, we will not have game 1. That's unfortunate for us. And but, ABC, it's great for the franchise to get a national television game on ABC. So that's exciting, but we'll miss doing the game. We will be back for games 2, 3, and 4. And then beyond that, if the series goes longer than that, it'll depend on who carries those 5, 6, and 7 games if necessary. But so we'll have after Sunday, we'll have games 2, 3, and 4 on FanDuel.
And you can check out David Steele along with Jeff Turner, Dante Marcatelli, the entire crew. They've done a terrific job all year, and they are postseason bound. Magic Celtics, game 1 at the TD Garden coming up this Sunday afternoon. David Steele. David, I know you're busy. Thank you for taking time out. Safe travels to Boston, and let's go get a win up there.
Thanks, Ryan. Good talking to you.
When you wish upon a star, sometimes dreams come true. 1010XL.
David Garrard here. I've had the PRP treatment from Southeast Orthopedic Specialists, and my knees are really doing well. Platelet-rich plasma treatment may be the answer for whatever is hurting you.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
My son had a meniscus surgery a couple of years ago. When it's smooth as silk, Dr. Kevin Murphy did it. Was playing tennis in 2 weeks. This is Patrick Malarkey, and I highly recommend
Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
For over 5 decades, a true American band. This is America. Encore Tour 2025, an unforgettable evening with America. April 23rd, Florida Theater. On sale now at floridatheater.com. America, live in concert. Produced by Outback Presents.
Baloo here for Smunez Vision. Why Smunez Vision? Well, I've been with Dr. Neil Smunez now since I got back to Jacksonville in 2006. 37 years of experience he has. Smunez Vision is a family organization that focuses on personal high-quality medical and surgical eye care. Dr. Catherine Smunez is fellowship trained in cornea and cataract surgery and all refractive surgery. Combined, that's 30 years plus in laser eye surgery. Visit SmunezVision.com today. Here you can see.
Are you 18 years or older, just got married, just got divorced, or have children? Listen up. Have you done your last will and estate planning? You have questions? Call Matt Hinson with the Hinson Law Firm. Reach him at 527-1700. Office is Jacksonville, Florida. And don't let the state decide your fate.
When it comes to my opinion, I love dropping the hammer. I'm Hayes Carlyon. Listen for Hammer Time with Hayes weekdays on The Frangie Show.
Hammer Time with Hayes, driven by Southside Kia. Online at southsidekiajacks.com.
Hi, I'm Sean Monahan from Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach. Since 1977, we've been Jacksonville's local family jeweler with a beautiful selection of fine jewelry and certified diamonds. But we're also Jacksonville's leading buyer of gold and silver and diamonds from the public. Gold has recently hit an all-time high at almost $3,000 per ounce. Pay bills, buy something fun. Now is the time to sell your gold for cash and get top dollar, or trade it in for a new piece and get even more value at Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach.
Hi, I'm Jeff Breyer, president of Lifetime Enclosures and Lifetime Flooring.
And I'm Zach Breyer. When my dad started in business in 1990, I wasn't even born yet.
That's true. And after 35 years and nearly 20,000 satisfied customers, we literally have a showroom in every neighborhood.
So whether you need more outdoor living space with a glass or screen enclosure, or you're looking to transform your home with new flooring, we've got you covered.
Visit our websites, or better yet, do yourself a favor and stop by one of our showrooms on Phillips Highway to experience the Lifetime difference and receive 20% off your purchase.
Bueller. Stay cooler with Bueller.
Hey, man, what's that noise?
Do you hear it too? You can hear it, right?
Yeah, it's your air conditioner. It's like a grinding or a rattling.
And it's getting on your nerves, right? Like it's eating at your brain and you can't think straight? But it just keeps grinding and squeaking and taunting and nagging. You're not good enough. You're a failure. Why can't you be more like your sister, the lawyer?
Yeah, I don't hear that last part so much.
Yeah, but it's not cool, right, Jason?
It could definitely be cooler. At Bueller Air and Plumbing, we can totally repair whatever that noise is and get your AC working smoothly and silently. We fix these things all the time.
So I won't be a failure?
Life should be enjoyed. If some irritating, broken air conditioner is making you crazy, you could miss it.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
When you hear Florida Gators baseball on 1010XL, it's brought to you by Renewal by Anderson, the official window and door replacement partner of the Florida Gators, and Farah & Farah, the official personal injury law firm of the Jaguars.
Prosser here. Spring has sprung, and it's a great time to sell your house, but only if you have the very best on your side, and those very best are Chad and Sandy Newman. Spring selling season's here. Rates are down. Activity's up. It's the best time in years to sell your home, in fact, but there are homes sitting on the market. They don't have the right representation. That's where Chad and Sandy step in. Maybe you're worried your home needs repairs or updating and it won't sell for a good price. Maybe your family's growing and you need more space. Whatever the reason that you need to sell your home, Chad and Sandy deliver this promise to you. Chad and Sandy guarantee your home sold at an agreed-upon price and deadline, or they will buy it. Sounds pretty hassle-free to me. Take it from Mike and Rosemary in St. Augustine. We were determined to buy an affordable home in a specific school zone, but we didn't qualify for the loan needed to get one. Chad and Sandy's team worked with the lender, negotiated a higher qualification price, lower interest. It was huge, $200 less per month. Do it today. Call 414-6200 or go to chadandsandy.com.
When you're experiencing sudden, unexpected dental pain, the last thing you want to hear is that your dentist can't see you until next week. That's why I'm so glad I found Harbor Dental Care. Whenever I call, they always find a way to see me within 24 hours, and they can usually fix whatever's wrong the same day. Plus, they have locations throughout Jacksonville, so no matter what side of town I'm on, I can always count on the same great care. If you want to find a dentist who believes in treating people right, learn more at harbordental.care. That's HARBOUR dental.care.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
20 minutes past the 7 o'clock hour. Hacker After Dark in for Baloo tonight. We'll take you up till 8 o'clock. And then RJ Saunders in this week for me, 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock. Open gym. So we'll have local programming up until 10 o'clock as we do every night right here on both 1010XL and 92.5 FM. Coming up in less than 15 minutes, we will head to Gainesville. My buddy Zach Goodall, 24/7 Sports, Swamp 247. We'll put a bow on Gators spring practice that wrapped up this past weekend with the orange and blue game. We'll talk a little Dallas Wilson. We'll talk some DJ Lagway, Billy Napier, and the Florida football program as they wrapped up spring drills a few days ago. Zach Goodall of 24/7 Sports joins us in less than 15 minutes. As we mentioned at the top, we are less than, well, I guess we are almost exactly 1 week away. 1 week from tonight from the NFL draft. So ESPN.com tends to do these things as we get closer to the draft. Field Yates put out his final big board. We'll get to that in a moment. But they asked 10 anonymous NFL scouts, all right, 10 anonymous NFL scouts, how they believe the top 10 is going to play out. So let's scroll down to Jacksonville at number 5. Projected pick from an AFC North area scout. Projected pick is the Jaguars taking Mason Graham. Here's what they said. There's no need to quote him and Haw. Jacksonville needs interior defensive line help. The evaluator said, this is hitting a double versus swinging for a home run and reaching for a Shamar Stewart or a Walter Nolan, the scout said. They attempted to swing for a home run with Trayvon Walker over Aiden Hutchinson in 2022. They're not doing that again. I agree with that. If they take an interior defensive lineman, it's going to be Mason Graham. And I told you guys at the top, that is the direction I would go. I would take Mason Graham, and I hope the Jaguars ultimately land there and take Mason Graham. Some people would call it boring. Some people would call it non-glamorous, whatever verbiage you want to use, and I agree. It's not going to sell any tickets. It's not going to get you fired up next Thursday night to take a 300-pound interior defensive lineman that's not from the Southeastern Conference. I get it. But if it helps you win football games in September and October, who cares? We've had plenty of glamorous around here, right? With Derek Harvey and Reggie Nelson and Blaine Gabbert and Blake Bortles and Justin Blackman and Reggie Williams and Matt Jones. We've had a lot of glamorous in round one. Byron Leftwich, and how's all that worked out for us? Exactly. So take a good football player. Take somebody that's going to help you in September as opposed to selling tickets in April. And to me, I think Mason Graham is that guy. So I agree. I would go Mason Graham. If they go Ashton Genty, I would be intrigued. I would not like it, but I would be intrigued. If they go Jalen Walker, kind of the same thing. It's not what I would do, but I would be intrigued. If it's, for some reason, a wide receiver or Tyler Warren, I would have a lot more questions at that point. So we'll see. But I think a lot of people are guessing. A lot of people are trying to connect dots. They know James Gladstone came from L.A. They know what they did last year with Jared Verse and Braden Fisk. There's an opinion that the Jaguars have a need in the interior defensive line. So I think people are connecting dots. I think the Jaguar organization has kept things very close to the chest all draft period on this. I think Cohen, Gladstone, and Baselli have not let a lot of things seep out of that building. So I think a lot of people are simply connecting the dots and, quite frankly, guessing at what the Jaguars are going to do. That's why 1 week from tonight it will be pretty fascinating to see what they ultimately do at that number 5 pick. By the way, I mentioned Field Yates put out his final, I think it's his final, draft board, his top 200 players. Field Yates, of course, of ESPN.com. So on this, he puts out, obviously, Travis Hunter 1, Abdul Carter 2. He does have Mason Graham at number 3. And quickly what he says, Graham showed elite run-stuffing ability and disruptive pass rush skills. He is strong at the point of attack, is willing to do the dirty work, and has active hands to make him a brutal assignment to block for 60 minutes. He fires off the ball with great first-step quickness and combines that with an understanding of how to win with leverage. He has more pass rush upside than his 3.5 sacks over 12 games in 2024 would suggest. So he has Mason Graham as the third best player in the draft. By the way, in case you're wondering, Ashton Genty 4, Will Campbell 5. He's got Cam Ward 6, Tyler Warren 7, Armand Mimbo 8, the tackle from Missouri, Jalen Walker 9, and finally Will Johnson at number 10. That's the top 200 big board for ESPN's Field Yates. Again, the projected pick by many, Mason Graham here in Jacksonville, Field Yates has as the third best prospect in the NFL draft. There's not a lot of Gators that are going to get their name called next week. A few, right? Cam Jackson, Shamar James, Montrell Johnson, probably. Brandon Crenshaw-Dixon, maybe. But not a lot. Hopefully Jason Marshall. I like Jason Marshall. But we're not going to talk about those Gators. We're going to talk about the Gators that are returning to Gainesville for year number 4 with Billy Napier. They just wrapped up spring practice over the weekend. Let's talk DJ Lagway. Let's see what's going on there. Let's talk about Dallas Wilson's unreal debut in the orange and blue game. And let's put a final wrap on Gator spring practice. My buddy Zach Goodall, 24/7 Sports, Swamp 247 down in Gainesville, joins us next on a Thursday night here in Northeast Florida. Hacker After Dark, in for Blue, right here until 8 o'clock on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM.
Joe Coward.
My reputation as a salesman precedes me.
Matt Hayes.
He's next on my list.
And Leon Searcy.
If we're going to make the promised land, we have to work together.
There, XL Prime Time.
Then we're in big trouble.
Afternoons 2 to 4 on 1010XL.
Hey folks, Rick Ballou here for John's Auto. They've been a staple in Jacksonville going all the way back to 1985. At John's Auto, they service all makes, all models, cars, trucks, diesel, you name it, they do it. Whether it's routine maintenance or a complete engine overhaul. Call John's Auto on Arlington Road. That's 904-743-3857 or go to johnsautomotivejacks.com.
Are you thinking about a pool for your home? Blue Haven Pools is Jacksonville's largest pool builder. They've built pools for over 20,000 satisfied families since 2000. It's never been easier to design the perfect pool for your home, family, and budget. Call Blue Haven Pools today at 904-620-0090 to get a free in-home estimate for your in-ground pool or visit bluehaven.com. Don't let another summer pass by without a pool. Join thousands of happy Jacksonville pool owners in a Blue Haven pool.
Get a healthy start in 2025. The Florida Department of Health in Duval County is here to encourage you to get healthy and stay healthy this year. They have a dedicated team who are committed to providing quality care. The goal is to protect, promote, and improve the health of you and your family. Visit duval.floridahealth.gov to learn more about their health programs and services. That's duval.floridahealth.gov.
Imagine enjoying the beautiful days of summer in North Florida, relaxing in your enclosed patio, free from bugs and debris. I'm Josh Molina, owner of River City Screens. We are your trusted local screen experts. We pride ourselves in our craftsmanship and our relationships, because with Florida's unpredictable weather, you'll want someone dependable and reliable to show up for you every time. New construction or repairs, call River City Screens. 904-923-3544.
License number SCC 131153483.
If you miss an interview, it'll be waiting for you on demand.
Well, what are we waiting for?
Search where you find podcasts. And at 1010XL.com. Trained by Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic, and Air Conditioning. When you're stuck, call the Duck.
I'm Rick Julius, a partner at Cordell & Cordell. Divorce is more than just a legal process. It's a life-changing event that can impact your future, finances, and your relationship with your children. You've worked hard to build a life that you're proud of, and you deserve a legal partner who will work just as hard to protect it.
Offices in Jacksonville. Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's attorneys. Lisa Cargis, Florida resident partner. Rick Julius, licensed in Pennsylvania only. Online at CordellCordell.com.
What NFL stadium has been used the longest by an NFL team?
Filing an insurance claim following a storm shouldn't be an ordeal. Southern Oak Insurance's claim team prepares for catastrophic situations well in advance. Log on to southernoak.com.
Our family protecting yours. Southern Oak Insurance.
Green Bay's Lambeau Field has been used by the Packers since 1957, a span of over 60 years.
Southern Oak Insurance. Our family protecting yours.
Do you know someone looking for a fun and rewarding summer job? Join the YMCA team, gain valuable experience, and make a difference in kids' lives. Turn your passion for this community into a fulfilling career at the First Coast YMCA. Now hiring camp counselors, lifeguards, childcare leaders, and membership experience team. Every single person on the dedicated YMCA staff plays a role in making the Y a welcoming and vital resource for our community. Find your career at the Y at fcymca.org.
Equal opportunity employer.
Blue here for the Blue Crab House, located right off of San Jose. It's on Jewington Creek Road. They've been around since 1996. Indoor-outdoor dining. Also, takeout is available at the Blue Crab House. Open 4:30 to 9, Tuesday through Saturday. Sunday, noon until 9. Remember, Tuesday, $2 margaritas. Wednesday, $1 oyster night. How about the blue crabs? How about my personal favorite, the Canadian snow crabs? Whatever it is that you fancy, you get it right there. The Blue Crab House.
Plumbing problem? AC acting up? Septic tank trouble? Don't waste time calling 3 different companies. Just call Duck Rooter. We offer plumbing, septic, and air conditioning services, making it easy for you to work with one trusted company and one simple build. Every department has highly skilled experts trained for the job. For fast, reliable service from a company that does it all the right way, call 904-862-6769 or visit duckrooter.com.
Get ready for the best prices ever on all diamond stud earrings and all tennis bracelets at Beard's Diamonds. For 7 days, April 21st through 27th, you will get up to 40% off. Yes, 40%! Locally owned Beard's Diamonds always beats the big corporate store prices. But next week, they're taking value to a whole new level. All diamond stud earrings and all tennis bracelets are on sale. Big time. Best prices ever. You save up to 40%. Don't miss this first time ever buying opportunity. Next week only. And only at Beard's Diamonds, St. John's Town Center. Shop local, shop Beard's.
So, you finally have some time to yourself. Even if it is just the car ride home, it's you time. And look at you. Do not disturb set before you even got in the car? Impressive. You've earned this moment to just chill and drive. This break is brought to you by Target Zero and the Florida Department of Transportation.
XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Now the cool down with Donovan Air, Electric, and Plumbing. Keeping Jack's cool since 87.
Back here on 1010XL at 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. Spring football now in the rearview mirror for the Florida Gators. They capped it off this past weekend with the orange and blue game. Certainly a lot of compelling storylines this spring, as I think all of Gainesville is still on cloud nine from that basketball championship early last week. Zach Goodall, 24/7 Sports, Swamp 247, always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Zach, how you doing, man?
Hey, Ryan, I'm doing great. I'm just, I look at it as, well, this is a very exciting time in Gainesville. I mean, national championships and a spring game. Wow. But I'm excited to get a little bit of rest here now that whirlwind of a month's over.
Yeah, I imagine. It had to be wild, and they culminated it with the celebration there at halftime of the spring game for the basketball team. There were a ton of people in attendance at the Swamp. Zach, how is Gainesville a week after that national championship?
Yeah, spirits are still really high. I mean, when you put it in the terms of the celebration for the national championship, especially. And I think that could be seen by the turnout at Florida spring game. It's the biggest crowd since 2009. Interestingly, it was 56,563 in those last four digits, as someone put it out on Twitter. 65-63 being the score of the basketball game. So kind of a nice little cherry on top. But if you turn it into the football game and you turn it into specifically like the football game around the championship, you'll find Florida fans who are also upset about the circumstances with the game not being aired in a decision that we believe was made a little bit before we were able to report it at 247 just this past Thursday. Fans wanted to be able to see the game, obviously, as they do every year, but there was a little something extra to it with that national championship celebration happening at halftime. And fans largely, if they weren't in Gainesville, they had to rely on clips from reporters, iPhone videos and stuff. So yes, the city's on cloud nine. I think people are jubilant about this win, but it was funny how 72 hours later, something like that, the good grace was gone because fans weren't able to watch that celebration if they weren't in town. It's funny how fickle it can be sometimes.
Yeah, a lot of SEC schools aren't airing their spring game. In fact, I think Texas A&M, if memory serves, is like the only school that's game is on. They're on ESPNU, I believe, this upcoming Saturday. Zach, let's get to the football. And before we even talk about on the field, let's obviously talk about DJ Lagway. There's been all sorts of stories out there, certainly. Some that have been talked about right here on 1010XL, as a matter of fact. You're there every day covering the football team. What are you hearing about DJ Lagway? And I guess it's good news that it was said, I believe, after the game that they hope he starts throwing in the next couple of weeks, correct?
Yeah, and to kind of circle back to the spring game not being aired, it's funny how really the two biggest storylines coming out of the spring game don't revolve around the play of anyone in the game. It's DJ Lagway not playing and the game not being streamed. So I guess that just goes to show you the importance of spring football in 2025.
Yeah.
But with Lagway, yeah, they modified him throughout the entire spring. To our understanding, he didn't throw a single pass in team drills. I mean, maybe he took some off to the side that no one ever got to see, no one ever got footage of, but we are operating under the presumption that Lagway did not throw a single pass from March 6th to April 12th in a team setting. That is due to a shoulder injury that we still just don't have many specifics on. We don't know if it's related specifically to the injury that he mentioned at the very beginning of last year when he came in and played against Samford, I believe it came in against Miami. I mean, even just around that time, he and Napier both expressed he had a shoulder injury. We do not know if it's the same one. And the lower body injury, we certainly don't know if it relates to the hamstring. We're under the presumption that it might not even relate to his hamstring injury from last year. But in both instances, we haven't gotten a ton of information other than, as Billy Napier's put it, they took a holistic approach, modified him, didn't allow him to throw, but he was handing the ball off, doing footwork, dressing out every day. I mean, he was at practice every day in full pads, just not doing the thing that has garnered him as much hype as he's gotten going into this year with the huge arm that fans have already become well accustomed to. And now Billy Napier is saying, yes, that he's going to begin throwing here in the next couple of weeks, should be 100% for the OTA practices, fall camp that they have over the summer. But I think the biggest question is, if he wasn't able to throw a single pass for this past month and a half, And I know there were some videos of him doing it unofficially before spring camp started, no pads or anything like that, just working out with receivers. But if that's where we're at, if they feel as though it would be harming him or better to not allow him to throw in these regulated official practice settings, what's that going to look like in 2 weeks when he starts doing it with receivers in a non-official setting? Is there the potential for that injury to re-flare, or was this rest enough? At the end of the day, I think in a couple months, we're going to be looking back on it and either saying everyone kind of freaked out a little bit too much and it wasn't that big a deal, or maybe the situation was mishandled. It's been pretty fascinating.
Zach Goodall, 24/7 Sports, Swamp 247. Zach, you got a unique perspective covering the Gators, covering the Jaguars last year. I'll give the Jaguars credit with the way they've handled the Trevor Lawrence situation this offseason. I mean, Liam Cohen came out last week and basically spelled it out for us. He's going to be on a pitch count. There's some things we need to work on, some markers he needs to hit in the process. Trevor then took the podium, same thing, kind of laid it all out for us, so there was no surprises. There was no, interpretations of what was going on with Trevor's shoulder following surgery. Now, I get professional, football compared to collegiate football, and maybe you want to be a little more careful with a collegiate athlete. But I look at the way Jacksonville handled it up here. I look at the way Florida's handled it down there, and obviously there's a big difference in the two.
I think so too. And I guess in fairness, I look back on how maybe Doug Peterson handled it. And at first, we were kind of wondering what the situation was with Trevor's shoulder last season when they seemingly opted against surgery at the time, allowed him to kind of nurse it for that week or two and then try to come back, only for the concussion and the dirty hit and yada, yada. But I think it almost kind of more resembles that in the way Florida's done it. Now, Florida's has been way more dragged out. There haven't been games, I guess, to rule him out of. So everyone's kind of sitting in suspense the entire time of, is DJ going to throw in the spring game, or will he be back next week, or what's going on? And there's just not many answers. But, I've looked at it kind of like Trevor's too. And to go back to, we really don't know any specific details of the injury. But when I put the two together, they kind of sound similar, right? In the sense that Jacksonville at first did not want, or maybe it was Trevor Lawrence, did not want to go through with the surgery when they had that option the first time. And he ended up coming back, trying to play through it. I think we remember that press conference where you could clearly tell that bump on his shoulder was up near his ear. So there was something wrong and everyone was aware of it. But at first they tried to go the holistic route, let it heal on its own. And then when the opportunity came to shut him down for the season and to have that surgery, it was kind of the easy decision. Florida's, I guess, not been put in that spot yet where they can make the easy decision if surgery is something that DJ Lagway would require to do that. So I guess at this point, again, it kind of comes back to what it's going to be in hindsight. If he's able to throw well this summer and not have any pain, then great. They handled it well. If that's not the case, there's going to be a lot of questions to be had about just how the entire situation was managed.
Final moments with Zach Goodall of 24/7 Sports, Swamp 247. Let's briefly talk about the game, and I guess the big story about the game, well, really a couple of them, but one of the biggest, Dallas Wilson, welcome to Gainesville, right? What a showing in the spring game.
Yeah, he didn't need DJ Lagway throwing him passes to stand out. It was quite impressive. Of his, I think, 10 receptions for 195 yards, 6 of them were at least 20 yards in length. Both of his scores were between, I think, 19 to 20 yards. So he's a big play threat at the end of the day, and that's what he was sold on as a recruit, more of a bigger bodied yet athletic, go up and get it kind of receiver. And Florida's had some bigger body receivers here of late, but none of them have really had that ability at the catch point and those separation skills that we already see from an 18-year-old freshman who came in, and he's got 15 practices under his belt and he's out here setting records for Florida spring games. It was quite a show, especially there in the second half as the Orange team started to pick it up offensively with Harrison Bailey at quarterback. And I think the sky's the limit for him.
You look at that freshman class with Vernell Brown, Nashawn Montgomery as well with Dallas Wilson. Zach, that could be a really good one, correct?
Definitely. And they really like J. Michael Sturdivant, too, the UCLA transfer. I know that their numbers at receiver are kind of thin. I think they have 8 or maybe 9 under scholarship at this point. And some fans have suggested that a wide receiver in the portal may not be a bad idea this summer. But I think they really like, obviously that quartet and a couple of returning players as well. A rising sophomore in Tank Hawkins, a rising redshirt sophomore in Aiden Mizell. Both players scored last year, and the arrow seems to be pointing up for a lot of the talent that, while they might be known to the Florida fan base, they've not necessarily made a name for themselves consistently on the field quite yet. That at least Florida is hoping that changes this year.
Jaden Baugh is the name we always talk about at running back, and with good reason. He was a stud last year. But let's not forget Jackson, the other kid who was good last year as well and had a 90-yard touchdown on Saturday.
That's right. They are really confident in their running back room, I think, as they've been since they got here. I mean, to give Billy Napier credit, while some of his play calling and offensive production has come under fire in the past, they've consistently churned out a really strong rushing attack. And whether it is Louisiana transfer, former 3-star in Montrell Johnson, to, I mean, Trevor Etienne being the big name recruit that they got at first, Jaden Baugh, and even Jacoby Jackson coming in as a former junior college transfer that was really a huge unknown at the time when he came in. It doesn't really matter where they're finding these running backs from. They're getting production out of them. That goes to, I think, credit the offensive line development as well and the run game coordination. Florida's got a legit two-headed monster back there in Jaden Baugh and Jacoby Jackson. I'm curious to see if even a third will break out this year.
Zach, final question. We have 4 months before the season starts, obviously, so there's going to be a lot of time for talk. But right now, as it stands right now, based on what you've seen in the spring and just your opinion, I mean, it's the best roster Napier's had, right, on paper. Now, I know the schedule's tough, but the expectations coming in on Florida, I mean, I've talked to a lot of people that have them as a dark horse college football playoff team. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, and like my issue just having come back at the time I did and missing the time I did, it's unfortunate that I didn't get to see a lot of the players we expect to start this year just due to their injuries, right? Whether it's Lagway, Caleb Banks on the defensive line, 3 or 4 starting to key rotational defensive backs being sidelined throughout the spring. I would have loved to see them in what they're able to do this spring, but based on their film and where they ended last year, I think Florida's roster talent just alone makes this a 10-win football team. I really do. I think it's deep. I think that they've gotten a lot better with player retention, and they brought back some players that really could have gone to the NFL draft if they wanted to. Banks being, I think, the biggest name of that group. They were able to get them back and maintain some strong depth as well. They cut down on their transfers out. It seems like that's going to remain the trend going into the summer. So from that standpoint alone, yeah, Florida should win a lot of games and be considered a team in the running for a college football playoff spot based on the roster alone. It comes down to, I think, management and coaching and schematics and some of the issues that have, reared their ugly head, I think, at times throughout the Billy Napier tenure. Are those things that either A, have been addressed and fixed with Napier making decisions on the coaching staff and maybe tweaking some things offensively, or will that come back to bite them? It'll be fascinating to tell, but I think from a talent perspective, the excuses they're not there anymore. They don't exist.
Zach, tell the Gator fans here in Jacksonville, man, Swamp 247, 24/7 Sports, what you guys will have in the coming days and weeks.
That's right. We are still breaking down some content from the spring game that'll come out throughout this week. Basketball recruiting, now that they've gotten some time to soak in the national championship, we're keeping our eyes on the portal there. And while the baseball season's been a little bit underwhelming, now that is, the primary sport kind of going on at this point, we'll be keeping our eyes on that, softball, the whole 9 yards as we get into the summer, and football recruiting as well. I'm sure that'll start to pick up here in the next couple of weeks.
Zach Goodall of 24/7 Sports, Swamp 247. Zach, take a couple of deep breaths in the next month or two because, media days will be here before we know it. Thank you as always, my friend.
Absolutely. Thank you, Hacker.
There you go, Zach Goodall, 24/7 Sports, Swamp 247. Always appreciate him joining us over in Gainesville as we put a final wrap on Gators spring practice. And look, a lot of expectations on Florida. They had a good spring by all indications. It's positive news on DJ Lagway. I don't know if they're a dark horse college football playoff team. I don't even know what that means, right? Does that mean that people think they're going to win 8 games or 9 games? Well, I probably do believe that. I believe they're capable of winning 8 or 9 games. But that schedule is awfully tough. And I look at those games 3, 4, 5, and 6 because you're going to start off 2-0. They're playing Long Island, and then they're playing USF. And no offense to the USF alumni here in Jacksonville, but come on. So Florida's going to be 2-0. And then it comes down to those 4 middle games. And those 4 middle games are hard. at LSU, at Miami, home for Texas, at Texas A&M. I mean, that is ridiculous. I would sign up probably for 2-2 in that 4-game stretch. So under my scenario, they're 4-2 at the midway point of the year. I would take that and run with it. I imagine most of you, though, that are listening that are Gator fans would not necessarily be happy with 4-2 through 6 games. So expectations are higher, but I think you have to be realistic when it comes to that schedule that awaits the University of Florida. We're about to wrap things up here on Hacker After Dark, but don't go anywhere. We're live and local as we are every night. Again tonight until 10 o'clock, open gym with RJ Saunders right around the corner.
Now, the 2-minute drill. Serviced by Cool Cats Heating and Cooling. Locally owned and operated. We're your neighbors. CoolCatsJacks.com.
The coolest cats in town.
Enjoyed listening to you last night, man. That was
Thanks,
good.
Zach. Thanks. No, absolutely. Thank you. And thank you to everyone who listened. I know that it's a kind of an awkward thing not to be hearing Rick Ballou and Hacker, during your weeknights, but, to hear from you that, I did a good place filling in for your time. So it does mean a lot to me.
No, man, I really did. I enjoyed the Trevor Lawrence conversation that you had. I know your bread and butter is the NBA. You got Dante Marcatelli coming up tonight. You're also going to talk a little NFL draft tonight.
Absolutely. We'll have Eric Edholm to come on with us at 8:30 to talk NFL draft, where the Jaguars should go. Are we overthinking the Mason Graham pick if he's there at 5? And we'll also have Cleo Lemon to talk more about Trevor Lawrence and just is Trevor Lawrence and the criticism fair? I just want to ask him that question as a quarterback. When you come into an organization where there hasn't been that much stability, how much does that affect a quarterback year in and year out? So really just want to get his feedback on that. And then we'll have Eric Edholm on just to say who the Jaguars should put around Trevor Lawrence. And, of course, we have to talk about the NBA. We'll have Dante Marcatelli give us a preview of the Orlando Magic as they face the Boston Celtics.
Quickly, when it comes to the Jaguars draft 1 week from tonight, are you a Mason Graham guy?
I think Mason Graham is the pick unless, something otherwise comes up. I don't see anyone named Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter falling. It would definitely be a surprise, and if they do, I think that's when you run the card up to the podium and you say those are one of the 2 guys in which we're drafting. Ashton Genty seems to be gaining a lot of ground here with the fan base. They want the running back who they feel can be our version of Saquon Barkley. We'll definitely see what happens. It seems like no one really knows where the Jaguars are going to go with this. It does seem to me that they do want a big guy, but if that big guy also means big in name recognition, like an Ashton Genty, maybe they go that route. However, which way they go, I think we do have to trust them with this being the first year of the new regime.
I think Gladstone's done a good job keeping things to the chest. People are connecting dots from his time in L.A., but I don't think anybody really knows. I think there's a lot of guessing going on. I'm not going to guess. I'm going to listen to RJ Saunders, open gym, 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock. We'll be listening, pal.
Thanks, Hack.
RJ Saunders right around the corner. Dylan Denmark was your producer tonight here on Hacker After Dark. I'm the hacker, Ryan Green. In Jacksonville, thank you for spending part of your Thursday evening with us. We have a ton of people to thank. Again, Emery Hunt, CBS Sports HQ, and the founder of Football Game Plan. Thank you to my buddy Zach Goodall, 24/7 Sports, Swamp 247, and the play-by-play voice of the Orlando Magic, my friend David Steele, joined us at the top of the 7 o'clock hour to preview the Magic and the Celtics in the Eastern Conference playoffs beginning Sunday at 1 o'clock. We'll be back in 22 hours to close out the week. Hacker After Dark and for Ballou. We'll do it all over again tomorrow night, beginning at 6 o'clock. For all of us on HAD, have a terrific remainder of your Thursday, and don't go anywhere. Open Gym with RJ Saunders comes up next. Good night, Jacksonville.
What are the many ways to experience